I sell advertising training to business owners, so all paid ads. We'll do 5 or 6 million. I'm optimistic, so we're going to go with 6 because it sounds better.
I like 5 or 6. Okay.
Yep. I would like to be at 50 million.
Okay.
Obviously not this year. What's stopping me is my capacity for sure.
Sure.
And so my question is, after hearing today that you spend 80% of your time on content, I'm trying to figure out what are the only things that I should do for me, and then what should I delegate? Yeah. I don't have anybody that I pay more than $100,000, so that's one thing I feel like I'm missing out on.
What are your margins?
My EBITDA, I know.
Yeah, sure.
At 2.5.
On 5? Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's super good.
I was excited yesterday.
That was the best reaction. I want to answer your question with a perspective shift.
Okay.
So you're now getting to the point where you have enough money where you have to start thinking about return on capital, right? Mm-hmm. Return on invested capital within a business. Mm-hmm. And so if you have $2.5 million, right, you can think of that as like, okay, well, if I take that out of the business, which you would, because I'm sure it's an LLC or whatever, right? So it's like, okay, so I've got, call it 1.5 million after taxes that I can put in my pocket, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big fan of putting money into pockets. The other way of thinking about it, though, is like, okay, well, what if I were to take 200,000 of that, and I take my taxable from 2.5 to 2.3, and then that $200,000 person, it makes me an extra $1 million. And so that's where I think I still believe that the biggest arbitrage opportunities that exist right now in business are still in talent. And I can tell you right now, I'll tell you a story because I think it'll drive it home, and I'm talking through you to everybody else. So the moment, like, the best talent, one of my favorite people on earth, is he here? Is Sharon here? One of my favorite people on earth said this to me, and I've always remembered it since he said, your best talent is always in the future. So right now, think about the people who used to work for you, like 5 years ago. Can you think about that team right now? Could that team run your business right now? They would die, right? And you would die too. And so the thing is that there's 5 years ahead of you, looking back today on your team, who feels the exact same way. And so my goal is, how do we shrink that gap as fast as we possibly can, so that we can pay down your talent debt? Because right now, that's what your debt is. So basically, you're choosing to make more money, but you're paying, by making more money, you're increasing your debt for humans. And so businesses can incur lots of different types of debt. And whenever you start a business, you always incur debt. The question is, which type of debt you want to incur. You can incur financial debt. You borrow money and then you start the business. But maybe if you borrow money, you can hire people that you otherwise couldn't hire. And so you don't incur as much talent debt or as much management debt. You might incur technical debt. Okay, I don't have a CRM, I don't have data, some of the constraints we talked about earlier, right? Like, that might be some of the debt. And so there's different types of debt that you can incur. You have talent debt. And so the goal would be, especially because you're in a service-based business, your business will be capped for sure by the culture that you keep, which is going to be on you, and the people that proliferate that culture is the people you attract. And so if you want to grow this business, which is all based on service, it's all based on people. And so you have to bring people that you're got to be, like, if you're not paying more than $100,000 a year, it's 100% you who's making this happen, which is kudos to you for being skilled. On the flip side, though, it doesn't have to be that way. And you would be amazed at the talent that you can get when you crack, like, you might want to just jump to $250,000 a year, and you'll be like, oh my God, these people are so much better. And what's scary is when you pay someone $500,000 a year, you're like, oh my God, this is a totally different level of talent. And then you pay someone $1 million a year, and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know people could, they made people like this, right? And then eventually you get people, like Sharon, and you're like, he's just better than I am, and maybe someday I'll convince Sharon, right? And so the point is, it's like, you just want to find people who are absolutely unreal. And the litmus test that I have is that you feel this like desperation in your core when you talk to them. You're like, I have to have this person. It's not like, oh, I have this role. This person seems like a pulse and not a moron. I guess this is the least bad of the 10 people I've talked to. I would encourage you, if you're ever in that situation, this is the least bad, just don't. Just keep looking. Like, we will keep a role open for weeks or months if we do not find the person. And so we are always actively recruiting, and we have a lot of flow. And so you guys got to meet the team this morning, so you have a little bit more context. Smart people, very good at what they do. But in order to do that, like, those people do not cost $250,000 a year. They're significantly more than that.
Yeah. I've told myself up until now that I'm saving money by paying less, and you're right. It's like costing so much more.
Yeah, you're always paying. It's just, what are you paying? You pay with the thing you care the least about.
So good. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
If you're a business owner and you're not growing as fast as you'd like, I'd like to give you a free gift. So my team and I put together the $100 million scaling roadmap, which is basically 200 hours of us looking over all the portfolio companies we've had and what stages of growth they went through, and more importantly, where they got stuck and how they got past it. And so we broke it into these 10 stages, and we made this little kind of quiz thing where if you put in your business information, it'll tell you where you're at, and the most important part for you, what to do for each of the functions of the business across product, marketing, sales, customer success, recruiting, IT, human resources, and finance. And so no matter what you're struggling with, someone else has already struggled with it and solved it. And so I'd like to give you this thing absolutely free. You can go to acquisition.com/roadmap, plug in your business information. And if you want us to actually help you deconstrain the business and you're trying to scale, we'd love to help you out. On the thank you page, you can just book a call with my team, and we will look at the business, see if we can help. And if we can, we'll invite you out to Vegas, and we'll do this in person live.